A newborn baby, a closet, a trash bag. That's the grim image investigators in Lexington, Kentucky are piecing together, and the details are more disturbing with every report that surfaces. According to the official incident log, it wasn't even police who first made the discovery. It was a third-party caller who raised the alarm. What they found left seasoned officers shaken: a lifeless infant, wrapped in a towel, placed inside a garbage bag, and hidden away in a closet. Beside the tiny body, cleaning supplies. And the young mother at the center of it all? Missing when authorities arrived, only to be located nearly an hour later. This isn't just another headline. It's a case that demands attention. And that's why we're here. But we can't do it alone. Your support, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions don't just grow this channel. They push this story into the light, where questions about justice can't be ignored. We're pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you plays a part. So before we dive deeper, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Let's get this conversation going, because voices matter, and together, we'll make sure they're heard. When police in Lexington responded to the call, they weren't the first on the scene. According to the official report, it was a third-party caller who contacted authorities after stumbling upon something no one should ever have to see. Inside a closet, wrapped in a towel and stuffed into a trash bag, was the body of a newborn baby boy. The child was cold to the touch. Alongside him, investigators noted the presence of cleaning supplies, an unsettling detail that raised even more questions about what exactly happened in that room. What stood out was the absence of the young woman at the center of this case. When officers arrived, Laken Snelling, a 21-year-old former University of Kentucky cheerleader, wasn't there. Nearly an hour passed before she was eventually located. That gap in time has left investigators and the public wondering what was happening behind the scenes in those crucial moments. The scene itself was deeply troubling, not only because of the discovery, but because of the way it was uncovered. It wasn't police surveillance, it wasn't a hospital report, it was someone else, someone close enough to witness the unthinkable, who decided to pick up the phone. That decision may have changed the course of the entire investigation. Forensic experts later explained that the term "cold to the touch," often used in reports like this, doesn't necessarily establish a timeline of death. With infants, the science is fragile and imprecise. Still, the condition of the body, the bag, and the items around it were enough to spark immediate charges and a storm of public outrage. The chilling truth is that without that phone call, this baby's story might never have been told at all. When Laken Snelling appeared before a judge for the first time, the scene was tense. Dressed in red, she stood facing charges that would forever alter the course of her life, concealing the birth of an infant, tampering with physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse. She pleaded not guilty to each count. The courtroom watched as prosecutors laid out the severity of the accusations, and yet, the bond decision stunned many. Her bail was set at $100,000. Within days, she was released to home incarceration at her parents' residence in White Pine, Tennessee. Unlike most cases of this magnitude, Snelling was not fitted with an ankle monitor, sparking frustration among those following the case closely. Critics questioned how a defendant at the center of such a disturbing investigation could return home under conditions viewed as relatively light. Still, these were the orders handed down by the court. While Snelling remained under restrictions, the fact that she left the detention center so quickly only fueled public debate. The courtroom hearing may have ended, but the questions pouring out of it have not. And with another appearance scheduled later this month, all eyes are on what comes next. In cases like this, questions about paternity often surface quickly, and the Snelling case is no exception. Court documents confirm that investigators have already obtained a DNA sample from Izaiah Hall, a former boyfriend of Laken Snelling. The results are still pending, but the outcome could have a major impact on the direction of the case. Was Hall the father of the infant found in the closet, or was someone else involved? Reports suggest that Snelling may have been seeing another young man, Connor Jordan, more recently. The timing of these relationships has fueled speculation not just about paternity, but also about who knew what and when. Did anyone around Snelling suspect she was pregnant? And if so, why didn't anyone step forward before tragedy struck? This angle is far more than a tabloid detail. It's a critical part of the investigation. Establishing who the father is could open new doors into motive, responsibility, and even legal accountability. Forensic experts say DNA testing in such cases isn't only about identifying biological ties, but about confirming timelines and helping investigators reconstruct the hidden story behind closed doors. At the heart of all this remains the same haunting image: a baby concealed in a closet, his short life ending before it began. Whether paternity testing points to Hall, Jordan, or another individual entirely, it will not change that fact. But it may help explain how this case spiraled into one of the most shocking investigations Lexington has seen in years. Laken Snelling wasn't just another college student. To many who knew her, she was a striking figure, once a high school beauty queen, a competitive cheerleader, and later a member of the University of Kentucky's stunt team. On the surface, she seemed to embody the image of the all-American success story. But that image is now under a microscope, and what's surfacing paints a far more complicated picture. On social media, Snelling once maintained an active presence, posting cheerleading clips, smiling snapshots, and TikTok videos. But in June, her online activity came to an abrupt stop. Her last TikTok post hinted at motherhood, leaving some viewers wondering if it was a subtle message about her situation. Then silence. For someone who had been so visible online, that sudden retreat now feels significant. Accounts from former classmates describe a different side to Snelling. Some allege she was obsessed with popularity, often willing to put her image above everything else. A former peer claimed she bullied other students in high school and even recounted an incident involving her Jeep and a younger girl. These allegations remain untested, but have added fuel to the public's perception of her character. What unsettles people most is the contradiction. How does someone go from the spotlight of beauty pageants and cheer competitions to facing accusations of hiding a baby in a closet? Was the polished exterior always just a mask for deeper struggles? Or was this a young woman caught in circumstances she couldn't control? The fall from grace is staggering. What was once a carefully curated image of cheer bows, trophies, and school spirit is now overshadowed by mugshots, court hearings, and allegations that will follow her for the rest of her life. When investigators described the baby as cold to the touch, it sounded straightforward, tragic, but simple. Yet forensic experts are warning that those words don't tell the full story. Dr. Peter Valentine, a former state police detective who now teaches forensic science at the University of New Haven, explained that newborn death investigations are among the most difficult cases in the field. The biology of an infant is so fragile that establishing a clear timeline or even determining if the child was born alive can be painfully uncertain. Unlike adults, where rigor mortis, lividity, and body temperature offer stronger markers, a newborn's body can shift rapidly. Being cold doesn't necessarily reveal when death occurred or under what circumstances. What complicates this case even more is the environment in which the infant was found, wrapped in a towel, sealed in a trash bag, and surrounded by cleaning products. Each of those factors can alter how the body cools or deteriorates, further muddying the timeline investigators are desperate to build. That uncertainty is critical because the stakes are so high. If medical examiners determine the baby was stillborn, Snelling may avoid the most severe charges. But if evidence proves the infant was born alive and later concealed, the case could escalate dramatically, carrying far heavier consequences. Valentine also pointed to the pressures faced by local investigators. Most patrol officers receive limited training in handling infant deaths. Every decision at the scene, from collecting evidence to documenting the surroundings, can tip the balance between justice and unanswered questions. For now, the coroner's office has ruled the cause and manner of death as inconclusive, awaiting microscopic testing. It's a reminder that in cases like this, science may move slower than the headlines, but it will ultimately determine the direction of justice. Despite the information already made public, this case is still surrounded by uncertainty. The biggest question is whether the infant was born alive or stillborn. That single detail will shape everything from the charges Snelling faces to how the public interprets her actions. For now, investigators can only wait for microscopic and toxicology testing, a process that could take weeks. Another mystery is the identity of the baby's father. While ex-boyfriend Izaiah Hall has already provided a DNA sample, results are pending. At the same time, Snelling was reportedly in a newer relationship with former college basketball player Connor Jordan. Without confirmation, speculation continues to swirl, raising questions not only about paternity, but also about who in her inner circle knew she was pregnant. Even the timeline raises eyebrows. Police say she wasn't at her apartment when they first arrived, forcing them to track her down nearly an hour later. What was she doing in that time? Where was she headed? And why did she return only after officers had already found the child? Each of these unanswered questions leaves both investigators and the public searching for clarity. Until more evidence emerges, the case remains in a troubling state of limbo. Before we wrap up, it's important to remember that cases like this are not just headlines, they are real, unfolding tragedies with lives forever altered. A young woman's future now hangs in the balance, an infant's short existence has sparked painful questions, and a community is left grappling with shock and disbelief. What happens next will depend heavily on the results of forensic testing, the court's decisions, and whether new evidence surfaces. But this is where you come in. Your voice, your perspective, and your questions matter. Do you believe justice is being served? Do you think there's more to the story than what's being revealed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss an update as we continue following this gripping case together.